afternoon and welcome to Metal Talk. I'm here. This is Paul talking to the incredible Laurence Archer. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you. Thank you for that lovely introduction. Yes. Yeah, here in Spain at home, doing a series of interviews. So yeah, it's been great since the since the new releases are starting to hit the ground, as they say. So
yeah. That'd be a good title for an album, wouldn't it? Hit the ground.
yeah, it would be. Yeah. Somebody's going to do it.
Yeah. Obviously, I've known you for many moons as an artist. I first saw you when you played with Stampede, obviously with Ruben.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And that was at
the book.
That is, yeah, Rock and Roll Roller Coaster Ride. I'm looking forward to your book one day.
Yeah, it'll come out one day.
Yeah.
Secret.
That was probably, I think it was it was Mildenhall Rock Festival around about, I guess, sort of 82, 83, around about that time.
Yeah, so, I think that was the one half of the live album.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've got it on vinyl and I've got it on CD as well. Yeah, the other one was at Reading, wasn't it? Reading Festival.
Yeah, I think we did half at Reading, half at Mildenhall. Yeah, or well, I think we did most of it at Reading actually, but I think there was a few of the tracks were for Mildenhall. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. No, that was great memories of that day, and I think looking at you now, and I always get this idea that I'm sure you must have your portrait in an attic aging somewhere, because you don't seem to age much at all over the years. Some of us are falling apart, but you're still looking as youthful and vibrant as ever.
Yeah, no, people do say that, which I mean, I was healthy when I was younger, but I wouldn't say I've lived that much of a healthy lifestyle certainly since I met Phil. But yeah, it's yeah, I've been with the let's just say the unhealthier side of some of the people I played with. Everybody from Phil to UFO to John and Whistle and various other people. It's not the most healthy of lifestyles, but I think I'm just pickled from the inside.
Yes, that's certainly one answer to it. So with the Grand Slam story, so this started many moons ago. Post Lizzie breaking up. Obviously, they broke up at sort of, I think September '83 was when they did their last gig. I saw them at Reading in the August, and they played, I think it was Monsters of Rock in Germany or something, and then they broke up. Just tell us about the whole genesis of Grand Slam with you and Phil getting together.
Well, I sort of got to know Phil a little because I did a very short stint with Wild Horses when Brian was going through a bit of a period of time, and Jimmy Bain called me up and said, would I like to, basically fill his shoes for a while. And we were managed by Morrison O'Donnell, who was the Lizzie management. And Phil, I think, was always looking for, the next guitar player or the next sort of link, as it were. And he came, first of all, he came to see us play at the Marquee and got up with us and did a couple of tracks. And then he invited me to the studio. And this is when I think Snowy was in the band at that point. I can't remember. I think Snowy was in the band at that point. And they were recording I might have this wrong, but I think it was something like Metropolis or somewhere in central town. And Phil asked me up, and we had a for a bit of a jam session in the studio, and I think he sort of logged my name down as one of the possible next guitar players, and I did get sort of I got a nudge that it would be I'd be the next Lizzie guy, but at the time, this was right in just before the whole Stampede thing came around, and Ribbon and I formed Stampede very shortly after that was happening, if not while that was happening. And that was my trajectory, really. So although I was getting whispers from my management about, prepare yourself, at the end of the day, I was being, my goal. I know it sounds stupid, but at the time, I felt as a young man that Lizzie was sort of going away from it, especially around the snowy period. I thought their popularity was waning a little bit, if you could say that. Obviously, they had their hardcore following, but so I probably stupidly just, continued with the Stampede thing and sort of hard-nosed the whole thing and just went straight into the Stampede. We got signed by Polydor very quickly, and that was really my thing. And, I knew John Sykes quite well at that point. We used to hang about quite a bit up in town, and we knew it was going to be like me or him. And I said, well, I've got this project undergo, and we've just been signed by Polydor, and so that's how it came about. But that's so latterly, as soon as the Lizzie thing finished with John, I got the call, and by that point, Stampede had finished touring in like late '82, I think, and we were sort of sitting on our bums waiting for the next advance from Polydor to do the next album, essentially. And Phil called me up, and next thing I know, there was a limo outside my door, and I got whisked away up to Stringfellows in London, and I just come back from actually being very fit, and I was cycle training in France, and I'd cut all my hair off, and I looked like a complete pedestrian, and anyway, Phil remembered me, and basically we went up, we discussed it, and within a week or so, I was around his place, and we were writing and rehearsing, and that's really how it came about. But I'd known Phil for probably a couple of years at least, but personally at that point. So it wasn't too much of a shock to me, but I mean, I had to make the decision that I wasn't going to continue with the Stampede thing, and I went back and we did some final closing shows for Stampede, some farewell shows type of thing, and then by then I was already into the recording with Phil. I already started recording and writing with Phil, so that was, I would say, pretty early '84. In fact, I got a feeling it might have been late '83 when he first started talking to me about it, because I as soon as I discussed that with Phil, I got the offer to go and take Tony Clarkin's place in Magnum, because he had become unstable health-wise. So before we started, I had sort of a bit of hiatus, and I went off and toured, did a couple of tours with Magnum, and then came back and continued it. And that was about, I think that was early mid '84.
And obviously, so things sprung from there. You know, I caught you as a band at the Kerrang Weekender at Great Yarmouth, and just, you know, really formidable live band. And so the material you wrote were, you know, together, you know, was incredible.
You know, at that point, we were really gaining ground as a live act, and you know, Phil was really happy. He was in a different place, and it was really vibing, and nobody could quite understand why we hadn't immediately signed a deal. But I mean, obviously, there's other backstories to that. But
yeah,
I've got good memories. I still remember that weekend because you know, I knew Lemmy a little bit, and I think Lemmy was on the show. Motorhead were on the show, and you know, Lemmy and his one on Bandit backstage, and you know, back then it was we used to stay in the caravans and all that. It was like, you know, one of those big holiday camp things.
Yeah,
good times. It was good times. Yeah.
As you say, you know, there was there was so much great material, and it, you know, it was a frustrating time, I guess, for you all, you know, that you didn't get signed. And I know Phil used to, he had a nickname, I believe, at the time, of drill sergeant, because he was really, you know, when you were in practice, you were really worked hard.
Yeah.
And everything was, you know, really down.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've said this many times that Phil took, you know, influenced me a lot. Not that I was that much different in my approach to writing, recording, rehearsing, you know, but you know, Phil certainly did have a you know, he was a sergeant when you know, when we came to rehearsing.
Yeah.
You know, and also every live gig, you know, we used to record every live gig off the desk, and we'd sit in the bus or the limo or whatever we were in, going back to the hotel, and analyze every single part of it. And that was because we wanted it to be perfect. So we want, you know, so anything that's sounded out, you know, so you know, we were on a trajectory to be, you know, as perfect as we could possibly be regarding the you know, the songs and the performance. But I learned a lot from Phil in that respect, I must admit.
Obviously, things didn't quite work out, unfortunately, with the Grand Slam. Then everyone went their own separate ways. I just sort of going back, I'd heard potentially that you were in the frame, because Phil was looking at reforming Lizzie not that long before he passed, and you were in the frame to be at least one of the guitarists.
Yeah. I mean, I hadn't lost touch with Phil. I had a bit of not a gripe, but I had a small issue with the management company, because we just come back. I'd been out in America with Huey Lewis, and we did the Gary Ghosh had asked me to record a couple of songs, you know, from Geffen Records, and I had, by that time, I had a whole batch of songs, some which were going to be in the Grand Slam camp, and some were sort of more solo or other project type of material. And when I came back from America, you know, Phil wasn't in a great way, and he wasn't performing very well, and that was due to his health. And I said to the management, you know, I really would like another outlet. Do you want to be part of it, or help me do something else, whether it's a solo project or you know, a project where I invite other people on to do an album or whatever it was. And you know, they were just intent on using the new songs I had to get the deal for Phil. So there was a little bit of an imbalance there, but I never fell out with Phil, and you know, right up until his last days, you know, we were still in contact. But I'd made waves. I'd signed a Japanese deal to do a solo album, so I had that at which I was concentrating on at the time, in that sort of last period of '86. But yeah, there was speak of reforming Lizzie basically at that point, and I know that I know Robin very well, and I know Robin was in the frame as the other guitar player.
But so things didn't quite work out, as we know, with that. But here we are. I was thrilled when it was announced you were getting, a version of Grand Slam back together again.
Yeah.
Just to put out that material. What's happened that spurred that on?
The whole thinking behind it is that, I mean, I know it took me 30 years or whatever to get to the point where I could record an album and finance it and get it to the point where I'd become quite unhappy that a few people, unfortunately when Phil died, a few people had gained access to the studio, the little studio, our writing studio at the back of his house, and master tapes from studios that were not mixed and various other things, and lots of work in progress tracks, which eventually got released on YouTube or and certain people ended up selling these things to record companies, and making ongoing releases from them. I was never happy with that. I wasn't part of that, and I didn't think it was fair to release those songs because I don't think they were complementary to the song, and they weren't finished items. So it was always my goal to give the people, give the fans, give the real fans the proper respectful renditions of the songs that we would have ended up doing as a proper recording, as an album. That's that's more of an authentic recording and output than hearing these little sort of half-cocked demos that we done. Because a lot of the time Phil and I would we go into his little studio and we put stuff down. We'd use drum machine. We'd try out different things. He'd put one day you put a vocal down, next day he'd wipe it and then put another vocal down. Sometimes he'd mix bits and pieces together, and they weren't finished product, and it wasn't really fair. It's just like somebody coming along and sort of stealing your song when you're halfway through writing it. And so I wanted to put the songs out in the way that I respectfully think that we would have wanted them to sound like, in a real manner, a proper manner, recorded properly. So it took me a while to do it, but I did get around to doing it, and I sort of spent a little bit of time picking the right guys for the gig, and most importantly, Mike, the vocalist, he'd been in the band with me before, but when I reapproached him, he'd had a life on stage doing musicals and various other, and his voice had really come into its own. And I did a 3G guitar show where I put together a set of songs, including some of the old Grand Slam songs, and I got Mike to come down and sing them. And that's when the formulation of the band idea really sort of came to fruition, because it was like, yeah, this sounds, this sounds right. It sounds authentic.
Yeah, and it was great for me hearing the songs on Hit the Ground, the album that was released, sort of in their full version, properly recorded. And Mike's a terrific vocalist, really great. I think the makeup of the band, particularly that you've got now, you've got some incredible players, with Benji, and also obviously with Rocky.
Yes, yeah. I mean, we
fabulous.
make a great noise together, and it's all natural. We're not trying to formulate anything we're not. I'm still writing in the way I wrote back then with Phil, and as I've always written, and it's a very natural progression with all of us. And going back to Mike, he was definitely the right guy. I didn't want as good as they are, Steve Perry or Bruce Dickinson, or I wanted something that would sit right with the type of material that I write, and also the Grand Slam traditional songs, if you want to call them. And I was, you're always setting yourself up for a fall when you do something like this, because you've got hardcore fans, and you've got big Lynott fans, and they're big shoes to fill. And Mike just did an incredible job, and I was so elated at the response that we were getting from the album and from the live gigs. It was incredible, because I was waiting for somebody to go, it's not, why are you doing this? And I mean, you do get a couple of people that like that, but at the end of the day, I wanted those songs out there for people to listen to properly, and that was the goal. But I was lucky to regain my relationship with Mike, and it was very natural. And it's onwards and upwards.
So I was lucky enough to catch you at Shepherd's Bush Empire, and it was great, great live show again. It carried on that tradition that you've got, and you've captured that sound. And it must be a little bit frustrating that then the pandemic happened and pretty much sort of put the brakes on a little bit.
It does. I mean, it's like you wait 30 years to do something, you get it all in place, you get a release, you get it recorded, you get it out on Marshall Records. We've done 2 weeks of touring, and to be honest, we had most of that next year. We had a lot of stuff in the pipeline, even stateside, and obviously we ended up sitting on our bums for 2 years. And it's not the greatest way to try and promote an album when when you're not out there in front of everybody. We did our best with social media and tried to cover it as much as we could, but it's the timing was terrible for us, really, to be honest. I mean, we couldn't pick the worst time to release regarding the pandemic. So
but who knows? But now I guess that time off, you had chance to write more material. And Wheel of Fortune, I was listening to it last night, the new album. It's got some really cracking songs. Obviously, you've got the first single, There Goes My Heart, which opens with that real sort of real sort of Grand Slam, sort of Thin Lizzy, sort of bit of guitar work from you, but then takes off in a slightly different sort of way, and it's a really upbeat song. And
I mean, it's a happy song, and I mean, if you see the video, we take the piss out of ourselves, and it's about having a good time, and the song you know, the collaboration between myself and Mike. I mean, I wrote the song as a bit of a soppy love song initially. You know, it was all about, you know, your long lost girlfriend and all that, you know, losing you and all that standard soppy shit. And you know, Mike came out. I was actually in Guadeloupe in the Caribbean working, and Mike came out, and we went through this, and Mike started sort of just throwing these ideas around, and then it sort of turned into, is it the girl, is it the car? You know.
Yeah, because there's an is it an E-type Jag in the video?
Yeah, it's all about an E-type Jag essentially.
Yeah.
which is really the love of his life. You know, that's the whole thing. But you know, we had a great time making the video. I actually got the guys over here. The next video, the next single that's coming, we did the video in England, and that's all ready to go. And that, I think it's April the 17th.
Right, so just about, you know, time pretty much.
Yeah. And that's a great song as well. I mean, you know, it's a slightly different song, but I be quite honest, There Goes My Heart wasn't my first choice of the single, but I'm glad it is. And it was the record company, you know, Silver Lining and Warner Brothers, that basically said, like, you know, this is the one to go with. And I was like, is it? But yes, and as you say, I mean, it has the guitar harmony thing at the front end, and in the, you know, in the theme, the little theme that goes on. But as I say, none of it's intentional. You know, it's just the way I write. It's just, if I could have guitar harmonies in everything I wrote, I would probably do that. But yeah, no, I'm very happy with the response on the single. It seems to be really good. But you know, the album is, I wouldn't say too diverse, but I would say it has lots of rich elements on there that I'm really happy with the way it came about. You know, and these most of these songs I've written in the last couple of years, and a couple of the songs are things I've had in the bag for like 10 years or so, you know. So but getting together with the guys to record the album, you know, essentially I sort of wrote and arranged everything, and I went into a studio for like 2 days, a rehearsal studio for 2 days with the guys, and then like the next day we were in the studio, like starting the album at Chapel Studios, which is a great little studio up north. So but it just came together really quickly. And you know, now working with Rocky, who I've worked with in a couple of different guises, and I've known him right back from the Def Leppard days, you know. There used to be a house in Isleworth in London where Joe Elliott, Bernie Tourmay, you know, John Locke, the other guitar playing Wild Horses, Frank Noon, the original drummer with Def Leppard, that did all the demos and was in Wild Horses and Stampede. You know, everybody lived in his house in Isleworth. It was like one of those, you know, rooms everywhere. And Rocky was in there as well. So I've known Rocky since probably about 79, 80, probably. So it's great having him on board.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think there's some really, really great material on the album. I particularly love Trail of Tears. Spitfire's a great song. Pirate Song's something really, you know, different. And I think Pirate Song illustrates, you know, there's some great fretwork in there, but you know, you never over egg things. You know, you don't do anything so flash that it overwhelms a song. You know, I think there's always that core with you that you're a songwriter, and that comes first, and everything else just, you know, adds to it. And I love Mike's lyrics as well, you know, so he's such a storyteller, but also there's that sense of humor, as you say, you know, with "There Goes My Heart," you know, when he slipped in the burly chassis comment, and I was just thinking, is that, you know, the company for Shirley Bassey or whatever, you know? And it's all little things like that. So just there's stuff that makes you smile, you know, throughout the album.
Yeah. Well, Mike really is a great story. Yeah, he's a great storyteller, and on every track there's a story there, and there's, you know, we've got Trailer Tears, you know, which is about the American Indians.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, it's a heartfelt thing. The Pirate song, I wrote that I was working in Greece, and the production used to take us out in the evening, and there'd be all these Greek guys playing balalaikas and all this sort of thing. And I said to them one night, I said, "What are all these traditional Greek songs about?" You know, and they said, "Well, it's all about piracy. Everything's about piracy, because, you know, they have Albania there, the mainland Greece there. You know, we're in Corfu, and like Corfu was, you know, was like so." You know, I went back to my hotel room, and they had this thing where, you know, it's like, you know, all Greek songs have got like this drone going on in the background, and I thought, okay, let's try something. And you know, it came out of nowhere. So I came back with the song, and I played it to Mike. We kept most of my lyric in there, but Mike went on and embellished it in a fantastic way. And it's a really interesting song. You know, I mean, it tells a story. It tells a story about piracy, you know, and as I said, Trailer Tears, Star-Crossed Lover, you know, is a typical, you know, it's the Shakespeare thing. There's, you know, there's so many hidden depths in there, and obviously Wheel of Fortune, which is the title. You know, I won't go into too much detail, but essentially Wheel of Fortune, when I put Grand Slam together and people heard that I was putting Grand Slam together, let's just say I had people coming out the woodwork trying to jump on the bandwagon. Everybody from managers to road managers to musicians to whatever. And we had a very bad experience with American interest, where, you know, we paid them some money for some tour support and some coverage and press and everything in America, and they did nothing. They just kept the money. And then, you know, we had to go into a lawsuit about trying to get the money back. And, you know, we won the case, but we couldn't afford to go to America to take the, you know, to get the money back. But at the end of the day, it's about, we had all the way through that first initial thing and the lockdowns period, all we seemed people trying to grab money. And so Wheel of Fortune is sort of about that. And you know, the main line in that is, you know, look what you could have won. Which is basically, if you've been true and just and whatever, then you could be on, you know, you could be in our journey, hopefully, that will go
on. Where we've got about a minute left, so just obviously just want everyone to go out and buy the album. They won't be disappointed. It is a great album. Touring, what touring plans have you got, just briefly?
So
what touring plans have you got for the album?
Well, at the moment we've not got much. Obviously we want to tour, but we're looking for the right, for UK, we're looking for the right, maybe double headline or decent support slot. We don't want to go out half cots. We want to, you know, we really want to get the right thing and get coverage. So we're in the process of, you know, trying to, you know, we've got festivals in France, festivals in Ireland, festivals in, we're doing about 2 weeks in Sweden. You know, we've got quite a lot of stuff in the pipeline, but as far as main touring goes, we haven't really been looking at that until the release of the album, which is the 7th of June. So watch this space. Hopefully we'll have something to announce soon. But we can't wait to get back out there. Yeah.
Well, looking forward to seeing you back on the road, my friend. And I say, you know, the new album is fantastic. There'll be a review on MetalTalk soon, which hopefully will reflect its true glory. But thank you so much for your time today. And looking forward to catching up with you soon. And I wish I had a little bit of the warmth you have over there in Cambridge at the moment. But
well, I hope it gets warmer. I'm sure it will. But it's been great talking to you, mate. And I look forward to your review and your comments. And it's always good to talk to MetalTalk, mate, and you guys. So brilliant.
Take care. We'll speak to you soon.